Oh,
Hello and
robot.
welcome to Nerdarchy. For Nerds by Nerds, I'm Nerdicus Dave, and today I am joined by Buffy. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. How about yourself? A little nervous, but good.
Nothing to be nervous about. Just a couple of nerds talking about nerd stuff. Um, no, thanks for coming on. If you would be so kind of like introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about you.
Hi. So I go by Buffy or Coco. Either one moniker is fine to me. I am a self-proclaimed jack of all trades, master of maybe a few. Everything from Twitch to TikTok, miscellaneous medieval arms and armored combat, powerlifting, fitness, and all things anime and weeb. So that's, I guess, a summation of my overarching interests. So yeah.
Yeah, I found you on TikTok, and as always, folks, links are in the description. But I found you on TikTok, kind of talking about fitness stuff and nerdy stuff, and possibly wielding a mace as part of your
Yeah.
workout routine.
Yes, I wield a 10-pound mace bell, which I actually got an offer recently to send it off to have it etched, the whole handle of it etched. So I'm gonna do that. But yeah, I am a functional fitness uh person, and I really love using the mace bell, kettlebells, things outside of the norm. And somehow me being a female deciding to, oh, I'm going to use a mace for this one workout kind of changed the game essentially and brought about something on TikTok. And here we are. So the mace is in the garage currently, but it is a 10-pound mace bell, and it's something a lot of people can have access to. It's something you find on Amazon, on it, whatever. And somehow me using it brought about a new eyes open, I guess, for most people on fitness, that it's not just about dumbbells or plates and barbells. There's other pieces of equipment, and I can feel like my character. I can feel like a superhero too, with something that's super accessible, which is what started it all.
I think in California there was like a nerd gym, and
Were
that
you
kind,
serious?
yeah, that kind of caters to that kind of stuff. Cammy from I think her name is Cammy from Happy Jackson. No, she does a bunch of
Okay.
cosplaying and stuff. I think
Mhm.
I don't know if she's a trainer there or she just works out there, but I've
Mhm.
seen it mentioned, and I've just seen it mentioned other places as well. But there's definitely getting to be like more and more crossover with that stuff.
Yeah, and it's not just me, it's a couple of other individuals on the you'll see them featured throughout each of our pages. And somehow the whole idea of making fitness more accessible for nerds came about because during COVID, obviously I couldn't do much. I happened to inherit a mace, and I said, you know what can I do with this thing? And I actually didn't know how to use it very well because it's very, very unwieldy. It's very unbalanced, and my hands are small. So it was kind of challenging at first. And I will tell you, the first couple of times my arms were on fire because from learning how to hold it. But as I've started to use it, I do use my mace in training. I train for about an hour with it 3 times a week before I actually hit the actual workout. That I was able to do all these things and use it even with my clients since I do train. And it's just been a weird godsend. And I love my mace. So she does not have a name yet, but she will get a name eventually.
Is will that be part of the etching?
That will probably be part of the etching. So somebody on TikTok, I found their stuff and they said they etched anything. And I was like, I just passing joked. I said, I'll send you my mace. Then they messaged me back on one of my story, my videos, and they said, you better respond. I'll do it. And I was like, you're joking. They said, no, we can do it. I was like, okay. So
Challenge
here we are.
accepted.
Yes. So I'm
What do
super
you want to get
excited.
etched on it?
I don't know. It was either going to be my logo because I have a little logo, or it was going to be traditional, some sort of like pattern along the handle, the hilt of it. So I don't know yet. We'll find out when I ship it off. Either that or I tell them surprise me.
I keep getting these ads on Facebook for these like Mjolnir hammers for working out.
Okay. So the Thor hammer kettlebell, they are interesting. So if anybody doesn't know, they're by a company called Tribwad, who, if you don't know, I actually am affiliated with now because I saw them and it was a joke between me and some other people. And then someone told me they're available. I bought one and I did a couple videos on them. They are the offspring of a very large hammer and a kettlebell, and they weigh a ton. Like 25 pounds is a lot for that little thing. For regular meat, nah.
Yeah.
For the mace, they're interesting. So I own one, and then as soon as I bought mine, they came out with a 15, and I was like, "Are you guys kidding me?" It would have been so much easier. But they're just regular pieces of functional workout equipment for swings, for overhead stuff. Like if you have a tire, you can slam it on the tire. Although I caution with that one. That one has a lot of recoil. You got to be hella strong to catch it back. So yeah.
So I had worked in the industry for about 5 years, and then I went back to construction.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't ever want to see another hammer again.
Okay. Okay. I understand. That's understandable. But for the average, if somebody's into nerd fitness, if your favorite, superhero is Thor, you just have a really healthy aspiration to be stronger, I definitely would say grab one, try it out. There's no harm in doing it. And I actually do have someone I know who bought doubles and works with doubles. And I said, okay, you keep that over there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So hey, invest in it.
So Cups wants to know, do we get to see the mace? I think the mace is in your home studio.
The mace is downstairs currently. I did not think about bringing her up. So if you want to, you can look on my TikTok. You'll actually see me throwing it around. What I do have, you can see behind me, I have a new piece of equipment. If anybody's interested in seeing it, I'm gonna roll back here real quick and grab it for y'all.
What do we got? Some little bit of show and tell. Also, like I said, the links are in the description. Buffy also has a Twitch stream where they play D&D. Oh, an axe.
This is a real axe. I had to label it on TikTok as a prop because otherwise I'm gonna get in trouble again. This is a replica Nordic axe. It is a double-ended axe, and yes, it is sharp. It is my new baby. She is my new baby, and she was 4 pounds.
Your poor mace. You're cheating on it left and right. Axes and hammers.
This is a polyamorous relationship with these weapons. We also have the 16th century mace and a pike, a steel cast mace or axe with a pike on it. So this is the new baby.
Nice.
Yeah.
My partner here at Nerdarchy, Ted, he just recently went back to armor training, which is like traditional Western, I guess, medieval combat, and they practice with like I guess they started with like baffle weapons, and then they worked their way up to steel.
Oh yeah, I've always wanted to actually like do that, but there's no places in my area that do, and the ones that do are all they do not like hard contact. They only do like swords and rapiers and pole arms. They do not do bludgeoning weapons, and the only bludgeoning weapons are about 4.5 hours away. So it's unfortunate, but
I don't think they do. I know they do. I know they do knife, the German longsword. They do, and they've done spear. I don't know that they've done any bludgeoning weapons. I think also bludgeoning weapons are a lot harder to really spar with and control because the whole purpose of the bludgeoning weapon is to destroy the armor.
Yeah. So when it comes to bludgeoning, at least from what I found out through armored combat, is as long as it's under 4 pounds, it is completely legal to use. Unfortunately, the following items here are over 4 pounds, so they are not AC approved. I would have to buy specialty weapons or a specialty cat for them to be AC approved.
It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah, see the armor, everything, and I've had people asking me, "Hey, when are you going to put on a full thing of armor?" And I'm like, "When you pay for it."
Yeah.
Too expensive.
I don't know where Ted got it, but he's got like a full breastplate from someplace.
Jealous, just a little tiny bit jealous.
And it's like it's heavy too. It's not light. I mean, when you're wearing it, it's not so bad. But...
See, I think maybe I will invest in at least some like leather armor for the Texas Renaissance Festival when it. Maybe not this year, but maybe going into next year.
Ted's in the chat. He says they do axe.
They do axe
as well.
See, I'm down for it.
We're also literally on the other end of the country. So.
I know. So for anybody who's not aware, I reside in Texas. So a little far away, a little far.
Yeah.
Like sad, unfortunately, but that's okay. That is okay. when it comes to that, I mean, maybe one day I'll do an actual YouTube video on it, me actually going through the process and driving out and actually going through a full like couple of days of actually learning what to do and actually wearing the gear, because there is a place that allows you to do it. It's just, it's on my to-do list for the year.
I
You
keep trying
know?
to set up death matches with Ted, but it hasn't worked yet. So we'll keep
Oh,
working on it.
keep working on it. Maybe you'll get one day.
Yeah, yeah. I have another buddy. He's my son's godfather that teaches kung fu, and I do the same thing with him. But with him, I figure he's probably always going to win. Ted is a 50-50.
I'm like, toss that coin. You have a better chance of that. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So outside of like, I guess you could say outside of like the polearm stuff, I've actually, this has been an accrued trait. In the honest to God truth is, I started picking it up when we started playing D&D many years ago when I was in my master's program, with one of my cohort members. Her daughter played with her boyfriend at the time, her now ex-boyfriend. And she said, hey, we're going to have, I was wondering if you and some of the other people who were in our group at the time for some project would be interested in playing D&D. And I came home and I was like, I was thinking about it, and I told he was only my boyfriend at the time. And he was like, they're going to do what? And he hyper fixated on it. He went out and bought all these books and all this stuff and set it down on our kitchen table, says, we're going to read. And that's what started it. And he bribed me. He bought me what we call these stripper dice, which are my pink glittery dice for my very first pair. He was like, these are your dice. And then he bought me a box. And it was like, if you give a mouse a cookie, so he's like, here's a dice, here's the box, here's a case, here's more dice. And it trickled down. And we played, our very first campaign was the Tomb of Annihilation, was the very first campaign.
So you guys are relatively new to the hobby then.
Yeah, so we played. So we started, it would have been, so what year are we in? 2021. So we would have started playing about about 4.5, 5 years ago at this point. So
okay. So yeah. A couple years after 5e started. So were you like into the weird training apparatuses before then? Or
not really. I mean, yes, I was interested in them, but I didn't know how to use them because I had coworkers when I worked in a gym who were very proficient in kettlebell flow, mace flow, using clubs, the Indian clubs, the club bell. They were very proficient at it. And I just would watch and I was like, wow, I wish I could do that. And then we got into D&D, and then the name, I'll tell you where the name comes from later, but we did a cosplay. We cosplayed our characters for one D&D session. And I said, I'm going to go out to Halloween, which is where I bought my first stacks, my steel cat stacks. That was the very first one. And I was just goofing around with it. And I was like, oh, this is pretty heavy. This could be like to use for training. This was what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
So slippery slope right there. This could be used for weight training. I wonder how this will work. 3 years ago. And yeah.
I also too, like I found with working with different clients and other trainers that work with different clients, when they come in with like different hobbies or activities that they kind of want to get better at, and it kind of like stretches you as a trainer to figure out like,
oh yeah,
whether it's archery or mountain climbing or ice climbing.
Like, oh God, yes. So the very first, I guess you could say, nerd gym client I ever had was a 12-year-old boy, and he had no interest in fitness, but his dad was all about this. But one thing he really liked was like the whole superhero thing and playing card games and playing Overwatch. Okay. So I had to figure out, this is the very first, I guess you could say, the inkling of what would eventually become Nerd Gym about 6 years ago. Me figuring out, if I were a character who looks like this and this was their job, how would I have to move? That was the very beginning of, I guess you could say, Nerd Gym 6 years ago with this 12-year-old boy. Nice. So yeah, that's honestly, I would not have been using, I probably never would have really been into it if he hadn't have originally sparked the idea of what, because people, let's be honest, the nerd community is not fitness enthusiastic, if you will. It's often, I feel like there's always this like butting of heads with the ideologies between fitness, what we perceive as like fitness influencers, how you're supposed to look, versus someone who enjoys video games, enjoys what is deemed traditionally nerdy things, right? There's this clash of ideologies. And I'm like, that's not fair. Why can't you be both? Why can't somebody like myself enjoy fitness and look the way I do, but also enjoy, having our struggle to schedule D&D sessions playing video games on the nightly. What's wrong with that?
It's a lot easier now, right? I think a lot
Oh
of that
yeah.
is steeped in the past. When I first started, it was definitely not cool to play
Mm-mm.
D&D and RPGs. And like we always talked about it in code, right? And like
Yes.
several of my friends, played instruments or were in bands. So we would like call it rocking out. What are you doing this weekend? And so like we were all like metalheads and
Mm-hmm.
denim and potheads and whatever, but we'd like to do this nerdy thing that definitely was not cool. And even the groups that I was in, like later on, like I
Mm-hmm.
was in and out of martial arts most of my life when I was younger, and I would work out,
Mm-hmm.
a lot more, and I'd even been a trainer for a while, and like even and like I hate working out, to be honest with you. I never like I like getting results, and so like for me to be like to stay on point with nutrition and fitness, like forget nutrition is pointless to me if I'm not training.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
like I just like picking up heavy things for the most part. So that's the only thing that kind of like gets me through. But the problem is like I'm old and my knees are shot, my hip is trashed. I may have two torn rotator cuffs. I don't even know. Like,
Oh my god.
but I went back to working out because my son was like, I want to go to the gym because he was on the track and
Ah.
field team and he was
Mm-hmm.
throwing shot put. It was like all right, and like it was going. We were like 3 months into it, and I was like, oh, I feel really strong. Like I'm surprised because I haven't been doing any of this,
Yeah.
and and it was going well. And then I had run into a buddy of mine, his godfather. He's like, how much can you bench? I'm like, I don't know. I don't worry about that. I just go do my thing. And so would you like the next time I go to the gym? I'm like, all right, I don't know. So I put on like 225, and then and like a couple. I didn't feel
Rub it
anything at the
out.
time. A couple of days later, I went to use a Smith machine. I just put my arms up to do. I was just doing squats. I wasn't doing anything with my arms. Just putting them up. I was like, I can't put my arms up here. This hurts.
Surprise! My God, been there. I,
Yeah.
I feel like the thing is they take you to the gym and they're like, oh, what's your max? And I'm like, I don't. Everyone always asks, what's your max? And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I am too old to be maxing out. Do you not understand what that does to my joints? I
Yeah.
have no reason. I'm like, unless it's a competition, why? So like I see a lot of young kids are like, oh, what's your max? In the comments, and I'm like, I honestly have not tested it since I was in my mid-20s. I've been in the fitness industry about, I want to say 9 years now. I've been in and out of the fitness industry, actually just training for 6. So, I mean, I am not a spring chicken anymore. I am not, and I'm not willing to test those maxes without fear of injury because my priority is like, if I can't move for my clients, I am useless.
Yeah.
So, uh, I mean, one day maybe I'll test again. And I actually did order a pair of some extra plates because what I have currently at my house is not heavy enough. I know, I'm not bragging, but I just don't have enough because I'm like, guys, plates are expensive.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
cost money, freight shipping, and I'm sure our delivery person hates us at this point because
Yeah.
the
I
day I
would
had
absolutely.
when I had the original barbell, the rack, and all the barbells come in, like this poor guy was probably like, "You're shitting me."
Yeah, I used to have dumbbells from 5 to like 60 in 5-pound increments, and
Yeah.
eventually I got rid of it just because it takes up so much room.
Why? My soul. It hurts.
Yeah, yeah, I gave them all away, and I actually just like I would rather just go to the gym, and it's probably better. Anyway, and actually, what I replaced them with was Bowflex dumbbells, just
Oh,
because.
okay.
So like I have a set that
Okay.
goes up to the 50 and a set that goes up to the 90.
Oh yeah, the power blocks. Yeah, those. Okay. I feel weird using power blocks, so I'm spoiled. I like having. I feel like that it's like maybe it's just the female in me. Like I love collecting shoes. I like collecting my dumbbells. They look pretty all
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I have
There's
only
something to
up
be
to
said for
50.
that.
Yeah, I only have up to 50s right now, but it's like I don't feel like I need anymore because I also, for people who don't know, I am a co-partner of a gym here in where I live. And if I need to go lift anything heavier, I just go there. 24-hour access, as long as I don't trip the alarm, I'm cool. Which has actually happened.
Yeah.
That was a
Oops.
fun day. Yeah. So yeah, that I mean, I'm heavy into fitness. I think people forget that like we see that traditional fitness influencers and they all look the same. I don't want to be that person, but I'm going to say it. They wear the same Gymshark. They wear the same little sets. They do the same things. It's always about the glutes and the legs. And I'm like, what happened to functional movement? What happened to training as an athlete? Like that's a personal thing. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like that's what's in mainstream, but the rest of us have been forgotten that there's other forms of fitness. There's other things you can do, which is why I think that Nerd Gym, the concept of using a mace is taken off so well. Because it's like, oh, there's things I can use. And I'm like, I even have 4-pound blacksmith hammers I've actually used. Those things suck, by the way. I can admit this. They suck. My poor hands and my forearms were wrecked. So, yeah. When it comes to that, I'm open to...
I just envision you like setting up a forge at your house and just like sending people out to the beat on metal.
Okay, no lie. I actually work as a client. I have a blacksmith as a client.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll smith you something. And I was like, oh, so yeah, I work with a blacksmith as a client. He wants to just get in better shape, but I'll tell you, when I see his Fitbit and I actually can see his resting heart rate when he's working in a forge, I have mad respect because I can see that data on my back end, the app I use. Watching his heart rate, I was like, holy crap, I can tell when he's actually working. There was one day he did 9 hours of smithing and I was like, how are you not dead?
Yeah.
How? He's not a small dude either. So I will not be doing a forge. I do not have room for a forge. I will not, but do not give my other half any ideas. We're not going to give him any ideas. So
nice. You stream a game, right? Or do you stream multiple games?
I am a variety streamer. So right now we've been on a Breath of the Wild kick because I am a completionist. I am the completionist and the min-maxer to the highest degree. Even with Stardew Valley, I have my Excel spreadsheet tracking my business on Stardew because I'm like, and I love sim games, but I was gifted this baby by one of my amazing, lovely people. Ooh. And I have since taken up competitive fight games.
Oh, nice. What are you playing?
So I've been playing Tekken. I actually did finally make ranked on Tekken. Last night I played Super Smash Brothers for the first time. And that is, I'm going to admit my faults where they are. I suck. It is so hard. The controls are so sensitive. And I'm like, no, Pikachu just kept running off the thing. I was like, no, Pikachu.
Come back.
Stop it. Come back. So I had a moment last night, but I played Tekken. I have Soul Calibur 6, which I have my own. I designed my character after my D&D character because who wouldn't?
I feel like my Pikachu keeps running off as a metaphor for something.
Yeah, it probably is. But last night we're taking it literally. My Pikachu would just keep going up the stage, and I'm sure everybody in my comments was face palming because I'm just that bad. But it was my first time, so you gotta get me a little slack. But I'm a variety person. I love sim games. I love fighting games. But there is one game that holds true to my heart, the series. You probably can't see it, but I have a huge collection of their stuff. The Borderlands franchise. Because back when I first moved out and I was a poor bean, I didn't have TV, but I did have Borderlands. So I played that. Yeah, I played that game in and out. And I own a lot of the collector's stuff now. And I am looking forward to Tiny Tina's Wonderlands coming out this coming spring, because that will be my new game of choice. So
are you streaming any RPGs?
I actually was for a little bit. I was doing a Path of Exile. I've been playing Path of Exile on and off for a while. I played all the way through this game called Last Epoch, which we got introduced to at PAX 2019, which is where my name came from. So I completed that. Path of Exile I've been playing, and everyone's trying to get me into Final Fantasy. Everybody. I have actually never played a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, they have like an MMO now, right? Because I think I think my Saturday morning D&D group, I think a bunch of them play it.
See, everyone's been trying to get me into that, and I'm like, I mean, I can. I said, okay, I only have so much time split between me managing a farm, fighting off enemies in fighting games, and managing my character stats. I have so much time. There's only so much. So, I mean,
I thought you were going to say you actually have a real farm.
Oh, no, I know. No, you know, I live in Texas, sir, but I'm in urban Texas. Now, my family, on the other hand, I do not own a farm, but I live very close to some where I grew up. So, yeah, I y'all would be remiss to know I've only been on a farm a couple of times in my life. Ridden horses. So I'm like, that's as close as you're gonna get to putting me near a farm. One of the things that you
allergic to horses.
ripped.
Yeah.
Rip. Yeah. It's okay. I'm allergic to rabbits. It's fine. I can't do or goats. I don't know. I'm the queen of allergies. When you live in Texas, like it's just a thing. So it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I'm alive.
My pet allergies like range from different ones, but horse is really bad for some reason.
That sucks,
I remember my mom's friends came to our house and she rode their horse there, and I was just putting the little kids up on the horse. I wasn't actually like touching the horse.
Touching the horse? Oh, that's
and like I got hives all over the place. My eyes swelled.
That freaking sucks, yo. Yeah. Okay. Well, luckily there's no horses in the immediate vicinity, I'm hoping.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because the property that butts up to the back of ours, they've always had horses. And also they had a donkey for a while too that just showed up, was like wandering, and so they put it in with the horses, and then they found who owned it, and the owner was like, "Oh, just keep it." So we had Otis the Badass Burrow for a long time.
Otis the Badass Burrow. What a name. It would be Otis.
Otis was cool. I don't know if my horse allergies is the same with them, but I did not experiment.
That is crazy. Well, there's no I am in quite an urban area, so unfortunately I do not see animals. The closest animal I have is the stream cat. Her name is Jilly. She is currently outside of the stream room right now because she is woken up today and chosen absolute violence, as most cats do. But she is in a mood, so she is not allowed in here right now. She has her own camera on stream. She has the cat cam. She stays to my left, and she does make an appearance. But today she has had some choice. She's made some very poor choices this morning. I can tell you. That's all I can tell you.
Cats doing cat stuff. Yeah, we've like I feel like every other neighbor up and down our street has chickens. Like some days you'll drive down our street and like there's chickens in front of every house. Like, and our neighbors, their yard is fenced in, but the chickens figure out how to get out, but they don't know how to get back in, so they end up just hanging out in our yard. So on Thanksgiving, my wife hears like a knocking on the door, and she opens the door, and there's a chicken pecking at the door.
I'll be like, "Feed me, hey lady, feed me."
So they like to come in and hang out.
Oh god, yeah, no. My mom had a rooster growing up. We thought it was a dog, and people thought it was dead because it would lay on its side. My mom always used to tell me the story of how the mailman would yell at her to come call her rooster off because it would attack the mailman. And I'm like, he's like, forget the dogs. Dogs didn't care. It was the rooster. But one day he was on the fence, crowing his last crow and died off mid crow and fell over. Oh no! That's the story. My mom had a pet rooster for years. And that was weird. I guess things were just different in the city at the time when it comes to like, I guess, urban areas. So
that is like the most Texas thing.
Rooster
in the city.
Oh yeah, pet rooster in the city. I mean, I had a friend who was storing a pet alligator in his bathtub back in college. So
where did they bathe?
They had two. It was like an apartment. It had 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. So they had. I don't know why. I don't even know what happened to the alligator, but I know they had an alligator living inside the bathtub. Well, this was when we were in college, and it was in the dorms. So I'm like, it was the way that it was like a 2-bed, 2-bath. The way it was set up. It was like it's hard to describe how these were set up, but yeah.
That is kind of weird, and also. Man, I'd be afraid like going to use the bathroom or something and it gets out. Like even the baby ones have a lot of really sharp pointy teeth.
Oh no. He was pretty big. He was about this big when I went into the bathroom and I just screamed, "Why is there an alligator?"
That's funny. Growing up, we had one neighbor and she was like so old. She was like 70s or 80s. And like she loved all of the knickknacks and everything around her house was alligators. So she finally went and got one, and it was so weird.
I love my cat, but she's the extent of my caregiving abilities currently, and she's testing my patience as most cats do. But I think we have very similar personalities, and we both want to do what we want to do. So she'll be the extent of the animal. Oh, fun story. So this weekend we had our D&D session, right? My husband was like, I'm going to make a map. And then he goes, you know what? Just because the group, he goes, I know you guys, I'm going to make another one. And I'm sitting on the floor doing something. I think I was just like munching on something, playing games on the floor in our living area. And the cat was curled behind me. He goes, and he walks down, he looks at me, he goes, You know what? I forgot about this. And this was like 4 or 5 times. He made 5 maps. We set them in here because she's not allowed in here normally. She comes over and she lays on them and he pulls them. He's like, she had wiped off all of his like 4 hours of work. And then fast forward, and then he redraws everything. So fast forward, we put her out on we're doing D&D, right? And all our figures are out, our minis are out. He has the black little pieces of areas we're not supposed to look at. He has all the maps out. She just walks right across, just knocking over everything. Just walks right through and just knocks over everything. We're like, well, he was just joking. He was like, well, take damage, roll for damage. She just walked and just obliterated
random kaiju attack.
Yeah. She loves, and she could have gone around. No, she could have gone around, but nope. She likes the feeling of the mats on her paws. So she just walks through and just knocks everything over. And we're like, really? It's again?
Cats. Like,
and
we've got a couple cats, and the one cat loves like knocking things over. He likes to, like, the pictures that are on the walls, he likes to stretch up and bat at them.
She's not so much of a knocking stuff over. It's just the figures and our minis and everything were just conveniently in the way of her laying on the mat. That's exactly what this was. So we were having our Friendsgiving. So we're eating and she just walks on through, just knocks everything over like nothing. And we're like, really? She eventually disappeared and just did her own thing. She just disappeared. But all the girls in our group were like, they're like, oh, she's so cute. Walks through. Never mind.
Never mind. A-hole.
So we actually talked about that earlier. I have a very unique group that I'm in. We are all female for the exception of our DM, who is God, aka my husband, because he set it up for us. So we did have one male player at some point, but it has since gone off to matriculate into the military. So he vanished mysteriously under mysterious circumstances. His character. He was the only lawful good one in our party.
Oh no. And what are the rest of you?
Okay, so let me give you the rundown. We called ourselves the emo party because he was a necromancer who came from mysteriously poofed himself in. But so the background of our party, I am currently playing as a blood hunter, which, as anybody knows, is an archive class now. It was created originally for homebrew. So I'm a half elf blood hunter on seeking vengeance and is now cursed by Asmodeus. We have a fallen angel, we have an Asmar who hates religion and is on the mission to kill the 12 cleric disciples from these different religions. And we literally, the last time we met, we basically started a riot in the middle of a town square and killed the cleric because she told us to. There's that. Oh, and she collects their skulls. So fun stuff. We have her bestie, the tiefling sorcerer, who is clumsier than all get out. But when we need to, she comes through in times of need and just obliterates everybody with absolute abandon, which led to an entire half of a village being destroyed at one point and killing a bunch of people. We now have a water Genasi who is a ranger but cares for all the animals, but is now on a path of vengeance since her wolf spider got killed. And we have a dragonborn cleric who has just recently joined us, who is the only lawful person in our party and basically gets shoved to the wayside. And we are now currently trying to start a holy war, so I don't have to get my hands dirty and I can get money.
Sounds like you guys are basically playing the villains.
We are not. We're trying to be good people, but things just happen. Like, we neglected to take one route originally, and a whole village ended up dying and being killed off by goblins in a cave and starving to death. We're supposed to be killing giants, which we have, by the way. But we just have been leaving absolute chaos in our wake unintentionally.
The party's motto is, we're not good at being good.
Yeah, that is actually very true. So we are currently, for those of you who are D&D players, we're playing Storm King's Thunder right now. And we have fulfilled the most traditional female roles to having a shopping. Every town we go to, there's a shopping episode. Every trip, there's a shopping episode. But there is also espionage, because that's my job in the party, is finding out, gathering intel, and bounty hunting. That is the job. So we're not supposed to be bad, but we come off as a little unintentionally because people end up dying by accident.
Some ambiguous shades of gray slip in there. So.
Yeah, well, when half of your party is on a quest for over half your party is on a quest for vengeance of some kind. Shit happens.
Have you tried DMing yet?
No. The work that I see my husband putting in, I'm just like, I don't know if I could do that. Like, he has his Excel spreadsheet. We use we used Roll20 for a bit prior to coming back in person and D&D Beyond, but I'm like, man, the shit he puts up, the stuff he is homebrewing per our request. Like I was like, I want this to happen. He's like, okay. I don't know if I could fill his shoes. He's left some mighty big boots to fill, to give a little Texan quote there. But I was like, I'll settle for being a player and not him hiding the stuff from me. He knows I get nosy, but I have really bad eyesight, so he can draw. He goes, I know you can't see this. I know you can't. So he hides stuff
right in front of you.
Yeah, I can't see it. And I try not to look, but when I see him drawing stuff and writing stuff out, or in the PC room here, and he's drafting stuff, and I see him smiling, you know something's about to go on. I was like, or he's talking out loud, and he's like, "Oh yeah, they're probably gonna do this instead." I'm like,
so you guys started together, and so had he played before or no?
No, we started together as a couple, like literally played, and our original character backgrounds, actually intertwined.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is the clichéest term ever. I was the barbarian and he was the warlock. So this was like, there's always a saying, I guess it's always the warlocks, I guess. So he was the one who was like, let's really do this. He originally got us into it. He got me all my supplies. Like he literally bought me everything and was like, here. I was like, okay. And then it became a couple thing. Every other Friday we would go to our friends at the time in our original campaign, and we would just play, and shenanigans abound. That campaign had a warlock, the barbarian, a sorcerer, a rogue, and a druid, if I recall correctly, our original campaign. So more traditional spread.
When you first mentioned it, you said someone had mentioned it to you, and then you mentioned it to him, and then he showed up with all the stuff.
Yes, so I was in my master's program at the time, and she was the DM for her daughter had been playing, her and her daughter had been playing for years, and her son, right? So she was saying, I want to start a new campaign. And she asked me and a couple of the other people in our group during this class, hey, y'all want to start something? And I didn't really know much. So this was years ago. This was literally my first year in my master's campaign. So we played until I finished my master's. We literally played the entire 3 years. So we just got together, and the moment I mentioned it to him, he'd always probably been thinking about it because we knew people who played.
That's what I was thinking. Like instantly run out and grab everything before you could rethink it.
Yeah, well, that kind of was the situation. We have a local game shop that we had passed by, and he had already been playing Friday Night Magic because he's a Magic player, like hardcore Magic player. And if he really wanted to, he could probably do it seriously. But he's like, I just don't have time, and it's too much money, which is very true. So he was playing there, and he was playing the game shop at the time, and he says, I could just buy stuff. But he legitimately went out within 24 hours of me telling him and just bought all these books and all this stuff. And when we had session 0 to get our characters, I was obviously super new. So I was like, okay, what do I do? And I had rolled great for my very first session 0, which meant my barbarian was going to be super OP. So I was super excited. So of course, me being the control freak I am is, yes, power. And I'm reckless in general. I fit the barbarian archetype very well naturally. So yeah, he did go. He just was like, we're just gonna get it. We're gonna do it. But in terms of DMing and me being a part of the second campaign, which overlapped the first one, it was more of something he really wanted to do. And I said, I support you. Let's do it. And we were at PAX, and we just happened to buy all the stuff. So we had already kind of started, but we bought all the stuff at PAX 2019, and all these little pieces here and there. And just our collection grew. So now we have a shelf in our bedroom that is covered in minis. We have posters hanging all over the place. We have little area of effect counters. We had to buy storage for all of our stuff now. So that's his ultimate goal is to get as many minis and figures as possible. But I will tell you, I deter him because every time we go somewhere and I was like, oh, this anime figure looks super cool, he gets the bright idea to be like, oh, I should buy this and we should use this. And I'm like, no. He gets smart.
Do you guys paint minis as well?
We tried it. I steady hand, not my strong suit when you're hyped up on caffeine most of the time.
Yeah. You bad eyes too, so
I have very bad eyesight. Yeah. We actually paid someone to paint our original minis. One of our friends, we were like, here, if you paint it for us, we have. And here's the really crappy thing. There's a closet to my left that has paints upon acrylics because I do cosplay armor. I can't buy real armor, so I make it. I learned how to start making leatherworking armor and stuff. So I have everything in there to paint, to artiste the crap out of a figure, but I don't have a steady hand. And I hate when I make messes. So I'm just like, forget it.
How long have you been cosplaying?
Oh, okay. So you're going to laugh. My very first cosplay was Sailor Jupiter when I was in 4th grade, and I made my mom help me make the outfit. So that was my very first cosplay. I don't even have a picture of that. My mom has, I don't have one.
In 4th grade,
okay, this is cosplay before it was cosplay. Yeah. It would have been 19, actually, no, it would have been 2000. My brother would have been born, so it would have been 2001. So if that tells you a whole lamb. So I really, that was cosplay before it was cosplay. Everyone thought it was like super dorky and nobody liked it, but I loved it. So I thought it was.
What did you make it for? Like,
it was Halloween.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Like, I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was my very first ever.
At that age.
Yeah, I didn't, cosplay wasn't a thing yet, right? And I was like, oh, I really love it, and this and that, and everyone thought it was like the dorkiest thing ever. They're like, you're too old to be watching cartoons on this. And I used to come home, and my dad and I used to spend time. Our bonding was watching Rurouni Kenshin, Yu Yu Hakusho, DBZ, watching Gundam. That was my dad and I's hobby. Whenever I would come home from school, about 9 and 10 years old, because my brother was born in 2000, so we're 10 years apart, but I didn't really get as much attention. So my dad and I, we spent time bonding, and I really got into anime hardcore, and I was like 9 and 10. I had been watching Sailor Moon on and off. And my very first anime, I guess you could say, was kind of a combination of Sailor Moon and My Neighbor Totoro. My mom bought me My Neighbor Totoro at, I think, like Kmart when I was probably like 3 years old. And I wore that VHS out to the point where we had to actually open the VHS up and get it out because it got stuck. So that was my very first experience, but I'd always been into it and nobody ever really liked it. But it was in 7th grade, I think, that it really got more prominent. People talked, anime was more mainstream. My aunt was taking me to like Sam Goody and FYE, and I was buying like the Animerica magazines and buying DVDs at the time. And of course, this was still on the download because nobody wanted to be the nerdy kid. And I was already a nerdy kid to begin with. I'm like, I had a glow up. I'm gonna admit I had a glow up much later in life because I was the overweight, chunky, nerdy girl, right? Okay, I fit the traditional stereotype, and it's terrible. But I did, and I mean, I was still in dance class. I still played sports, but I was always kind of like the overweight kid, and I always loved it. I always loved anime and nerdy things and video gaming. And my brother and I had video game systems together. Me and my dad would play. It was a thing. And then as I got older into high school, I mean, I was in band. So again, I'm really doing myself a service here for fulfilling the nerdy archetype, right? Writing club, drama, and band camp, the Tumblr kid. And, I had a very select group of friends. So I got more extroverted. I was still kind of a little shy. And I still watched anime. And we used to have like this underground like anime ring at my high school. I went to a private Catholic high school, I should add. We would trade anime DVDs and manga because some of them were older than us and we couldn't get the stuff or we didn't have the money. So we would library swap, and we had a manga club, and it was super unofficial, but we would hang out. And that was honestly, so I'm going to a little sidebar myself here.
The way you describe it feels like, like a fight club, but for manga and anime.
Yeah, it was. We would pass it off in the hallways because the faculty got wind. And of course, Catholic high school. So we would hide it. And we get together after school sometimes when we had time before band camp or band in the afternoon. And we would swap it. And that was my first experience with people talking about fan fiction. I had no idea. This was me as like a freshman and sophomore. So that's when I learned about what that fan fiction really was, just as a sidebar there. As a female, it's what I learned. And then as I got older, as I got into college, I kind of, I guess, dumbed down myself a little bit to feel more, because I went to a Catholic college because I didn't want to, but my parents were really all about it. But to try to make myself fit in more, if people didn't see that you were more alternative or nerdy, you were more likely to fit in and make friends. And so if people know me personally and they look back far enough, I actually was in a sorority and I didn't really talk about that stuff. But as I got older, I said, fuck it. I'm just gonna do what I want to do. And I embraced the alternative side of myself. I embraced what I like, the way I've always kind of been, and started saying, oh yeah, I watch anime. Oh, I watch this. And then all of a sudden, like, we're in the late aughts. All of a sudden it's popular and it's in now to watch anime. It's popular to play D&D. It's popular. I'm like, what the hell happened? Why did I have to have this? Why did I have to struggle? And I'm sure you had the same thing happen at some point.
Oh
Like,
yeah, we even had the satanic panic.
and
So
oh yeah, you went through this. Went through
yeah.
that. Oh, it's okay. When you, my family members already, well, one of my, this is actually a story that I talk about publicly. One of my family members actually said that, told my grandmother I worship Satan. And I was like, what? Because I have an astrology shirt? Because
Yeah.
I play D&D? And I'm like, so, I'm not going to, we're going to contribute that to ignorance. And that's fine. People are just weird like that. But I embrace the nerd now. And apparently it's in now to be nerdy. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, I just like the things I like. Like you can see I have figures. I don't know if y'all can see on the floor, unopened figure boxes everywhere. I like cosplaying when I like cosplaying, but it's because I like creating an outfit from the ground up and actually putting time into it. And that's the ADD in me. I love creating things. That's why I love sim games. I just love making things and embracing creativity. So it's just been something I've had to grow into and accept. And hopefully other people themselves learn to accept that it's not a negative thing. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's, you are who you are. You like what you like. And you're guaranteed that there's other people out there like you who embrace that community. And that's kind of why I kind of melded fitness into nerd culture, if you will, is because I didn't have that myself. So I'm trying to at least contribute towards a safe space that other people can find some solace in it too,
So
I
how
got
do
a little
you
emotional.
find that is working as far as attracting clientele? Do you find like you're getting
Oh
a
my God.
different clientele, or
Yes.
are you exposing the existing clientele to different things?
Okay. So it's kind of a combination. My
Yeah.
existing clientele is my existing clientele, but they are solely rehabilitation based, most of them, or weight loss based. So that's fine. But it's interesting because a lot of them are into nerd culture too. Like one of them, she's a big anime fan. One of them she's part of a Vampire the Masquerade campaign, and her partner was trying to convince us to come play with them. And as you can probably guess, my husband went out and bought all the books and has been reading it since.
Yeah.
This is so, and he even bought me dice, and I was like, already? We didn't even so my clients, some of them already had that, some of them are not. But the new clientele coming in, the virtual clientele are the ones that usually find me through like nerd gym stuff, and their hobbies align very, very closely to, I guess, what my page is about. Like if it's like D&D culture, superhero culture, anime culture, very similarly aligned. And most of the time when they add requests and I see my back end document, they say, oh, I want to look like this person, or I want to feel like this, or it's never just, I want to feel better about myself. It's, I wish I could look like this person. It's never a real person. It's usually, or I want to be confident like this character. It's usually aligned with a fictional character of some kind.
What is
or
what fictional character has come up the most?
okay, for the men, I'm getting a lot of God of War Kratos. I get a lot of Kratos as an aesthetic figure. I don't get a lot of like, surprisingly, I don't get a lot of like Superman, Batman stuff. I get a lot of like the leaner figures. I want to be able to be like, a Thor is one of them. I've actually had a Thor. I've had, let me see, Baki from Baki the Grappler. I've actually had someone requesting Baki. I've had, for women, Noi from Dorohedoro. I want to look like Samus in her lean form. I want to look like, what is the other one? What did someone tell me? I think that was Samus, wasn't it? I think that was that one. So for most females, it's also, I just want to be strong. I want to be a movable tank. I want to be embrace what my body is. I've never gotten anybody saying, I want to look like a super skinny character. They're always like super like ripped or athletic characters. And I'm like, okay, I can work with this. So
that's way better than hearing, I don't want to get bulky. I'm like,
oh yeah,
like,
I used to have
like,
that.
you see all those guys in the gym over here, they wish they could get bulky.
Exactly. I'm like,
by accident.
and I have to tell people exactly. I have to tell people, I'm like, look, you ain't gonna get bulky unless you start taking steroids. You really will not. I said, are you planning to take the first thing I'll always ask them is like, so are you planning to take steroids? They're like, no, why? I said, because unless you take them, you're gonna get bulky. You're not gonna get bulky. That's not how genetics works. That's not how biology works. I said, your body type's your body type. And I think we've created a much more body positive, body aware space in the nerd gym idea, because there was some guy out there, I saw him, he actually commented, and I took a look at his page and I was like, he loves fat gum and he wears his fat gum hoodie when he works out. And I was like, because he wants to be the smaller version of Fat Gun from My Hero Academia. And I was like, the more muscular version. I was like, okay. And he thinks about his body in a more positive sense. And I was like, you know what? That's fucking awesome.
What was the Thor
Or,
controversy? There was it God of
oh
War?
my God. Yes. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. The whole controversy is that Thor.
That's not the Thor people want to look at like though, right?
Yes. Okay. People have this assumption that based on the Marvel movie Thor, that he's supposed to be like blonde and super buff and lean. And I'm like, in reality, the god Thor, if you look at even pagan and Norse mythology, he is not a muscular man. He is a big, strong man. And if you look at strong men, they you can barely see the muscle. Like you can tell that they're shaped there, right? But they're big guys.
Yeah.
You look at like Eddie Hall.
Who is
you
the guy? They're one of the strong men. He for a while, but he was actually a freak because he was so defined. And he was
that would have been, who would that have been? But I know who you talked about. I think there was one individual, one of the strongmen. I want to say it was Eddie Hall. I do want to say it was Eddie Hall who went on a diet to cut down, and he was like dense, like packed muscle. Like he wasn't super like shredded, but you could see what was under there. He lost like 20% body fat. It was ridiculous, and he was huge. Wasn't a healthy weight for him because he's not used to that.
Probably also made him weaker.
It did, yeah, and he did not like that. But it was an experiment. But at any rate, the controversy was that people did not want to see that as the Thor body type because they have such a media perception of Thor as this big, strong, like machismo man, not an actual body. And that's what the controversy was. And I saw so many people talking about it. I didn't get to talk about it because something was going on. I didn't get to make a video on it. But the truth is, if Thor historically had existed as a person, he probably would look like that because he's the patron god of strength.
Yeah, he's got he's a redhead, a big beard.
Yeah, a big beard. Yeah, that's what he would look like. And people
and
didn't like.
There was a lot of drinking and feasting going on.
Oh yeah, like he a traditional strongman. Like if he would be like, my envision of him is like the Mountain, essentially, like just a big dude. But I'm like, if you're the patron god of strength, you're gonna be strong. You're gonna look like it too. You're not gonna be muscular. Muscularity, for anybody who's watching, muscularity and leanness is a concept that we have invented in modern times as aesthetically pleasing. It's not something people's bodies naturally exist in. That's not how it looks. We're very soft. We can be strong without being lean. Being lean is always a sign to me that someone is in deficit and probably not eating a lot. So I kind of like the way that they portray Thor. I actually do. I was like, that's actually a very accurate representation, at least to me.
And also, if you've ever been around anyone who's cutting weight,
oh yeah,
they're terrible to be around because their life sucks.
Oh yeah, 100%. I've been there. For people who don't know, I did bodybuilding many, many years ago, and I went from 176 pounds down to 120. I didn't have a lot of muscle mass because I was in the bikini category. And then I realized when I saw some pictures, I looked super unhealthy, and I was like, I don't like this look. So then I moved up to figure, and I like that look. But then reality hit and master's program education, and I said, you know what? I cannot be dieting and worrying about my food 24/7. I want to live. So here we are, powerlifting body. Woo!
When did you transition from traditional fitness to nerd fitness?
Oh, okay. So that would have been, nerd fitness started like the sprinkles of nerd fitness started probably, I want to say about 2.5 years ago. And it was more because I just wanted to look a certain way. And I was more in the aesthetics. Well, actually I've been 3 at this point. I like 3 years ago. I wanted to be more into aesthetics. So it was more of an appearance with certain characters. And I was like, oh, I just want to look like that. But then I think as COVID came around, I started playing D&D, obviously. I think I really started to transition into what if I could make a character real? What if I could can I analyze these movements and make workout programs using weight training or functional movement that a real person or a character who could be real would do? So that's kind of how it transitioned. It wasn't more like a solid transition. It was kind of like a little sparkly transition, like a little smooth gradient into where we are now. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I most of my training, I tend to do, I generally just mix in like general traditional bodybuilding with like powerlifting moves.
Yeah.
Like I said, so I try to find somewhere between like the middle ground between
The middle, yeah.
hypertrophy and
Yeah.
strength.
Absolutely. And I kind of did a more of a hard transition when it came to powerlifting. However, when I started originally working towards building absolute strength and working with a coach who's now one of my really good friends, then COVID hit and I didn't have the weights to be doing it. So even when I came back from COVID, I really was trying, but the stress of planning a wedding and getting a business off the ground. And I was like, there's no freaking way.
No,
I
that's tough.
can't.
Do you want to compete or just for your
Yeah.
own?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would like to this next year get back into it and get my coach back on board and be like, you know what? Let's freaking go. I don't have any worries now. Business is going good. I'm living a good life. Let's do this. So I'm looking at maybe April, because when I actually sleep, because as if you haven't already noticed, I'm a night owl. But if I can actually get myself to damn bed and sleep and recover, I'm a freaking powerhouse. I want to get back to how I used to be. And I think it's me going in search of something for myself. It's not so much for everyone else, but something for myself to prove that you can, no matter your age, you can still get back to it. Even if you stopped training for something, there's still potential there. And that's the message I want to convey to everybody, is that it's never too late to start lifting. It's never too late to stop. It's never too late to start a hobby, obviously. And, you know, also preaching body awareness, that not everybody you see in the media who on Instagram, because Instagram I feel is dying a little bit. Not everyone you see, you don't have to look like that to be athletic or fit. Performance sports have entirely different body types. And if you have that potential there, embrace that potential. If you look like that, there's a pretty good chance you have potential to perform like that. The people you just saw in the Olympics, if your body type looks like that, you probably have a very similar genetic build and the great potential to be an athlete. Because I don't talk about people in the context of working out. We talk about it in the course of training. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the Nerd Gym thing really just took hold, is that I want to say it's been about a year when I really said, you know what, we're going to take Nerd Gym by the horns. Because I started officially on TikTok in February of last year. The very first video I put out was me using a mace as an actual weapon. So that it's been about a year with me actually taking it seriously. And who knows, maybe I'll get a chance to do some armor combat sometime soon. You don't know.
You know who I was talking about earlier? Golden Lasso, I think is her.
Golden Lasso. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kimmy Golden Lasso games.
Interesting. Like, I didn't even know. It's amazing though. Like, you would think that we end up in the same sphere somehow, but we don't. And I'm like,
Golden Lasso. Well, okay. Yeah, she's been around for a while, so she might be, you know, kind of like between our ages.
Okay, that's probably more accurate than, oh my God. See, I wish that was more mainstream, but I think TikTok has really done a good service for us, because that allows people to meet at the crux of interest, but also, like, obviously that's how you found me. So yeah, that is, I think, the wonderful thing about TikTok. And like, I know there's a lot of controversy around it, but it does bring some really good things, at least to me. And I have actually, it sounds really stupid to say this, but this is how I feel. Being on TikTok has really also made me appreciate myself and my body type more, because I have found others that look like me too. So
now, that's always do you plan to do more crossing over with TikTok and D&D talk?
Oh yeah, I really wanted to see if we could get the girls in the game we could do like an actual, like, what happens in a D&D session, like the absolute freaking chaos. Because some stuff gets said and I'm like, what is wrong with us?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we should do this, but I don't know if TikTok would allow it. We actually did a bar D&D session. We actually did get inebriated in real life, and actual chaos did happen. That included a virtual yeeting of halflings and dwarves shoved around, the smacking of people with plates and food, and the actual in real life destruction of my chair, one of my kitchen chairs.
Oh no.
So I feel like this needs to happen at some point, but some of them are camera shy, and I was like, we should do it. I feel like it's something I think I want to do. You know how they have those TikToks where it's like meet the people or whatever, meet the friend group, meet the D&D group, because and it's just
get them drunk first, but I don't think that's consent.
No, I know, right? No, they don't even need alcohol. Let me tell you, they don't need alcohol to be chaotic. Like this just happens naturally. It runs its course because we're all female. We all have these very big personalities, and we all have opinions on what should happen. But nothing ever goes as planned in our campaigns. Obviously, so this past weekend we were supposed to use maybe four maps. We used one, and DM was expecting warfare. No warfare, nothing. We got our way out by talking, and he was like, "This never."
You just never know. Like I ran a fan game yesterday, and I was like, all right, I'll probably, it's like gonna be like 2 to 5, 3 hours, and it ended up being like I ended up not getting done until like 7:30.
Oh shit, that was nice.
And you just never know. And then sometimes like I've run like an adventure at one convention, and like one group will just like buzz right through it, and I'm like, okay, well, what are we supposed to do with the other 2 hours now? And another group was like, are they going to even make it through here in the allotted time?
Yeah, that's us. We did a 6 hour this past time. I think the longest one we've done is close to 7, but that was on 2 years ago on Halloween. We decorated our entire like home and like Halloween stuff, candles everywhere, like fake candles. And we all dressed up as our characters. We did a cosplay one, which was, I think we love when we get to do the cosplay sessions. It's once a year, but this year didn't get to happen because wedding. So we did we're going to do a holiday one coming up here. It's a holiday special. So who knows what chaos, maybe I'll feature them in this one. But as I said, some of them are camera shy, but I think everyone's getting over the fact. I'm like, look, y'all have been spotted in the background of my Instagram stories. This can't get any worse.
Oh.
Although I say that
I outed them.
I've already outed them, but the girls are cool. So I think it's cool though, because it's a rarity. I've never really heard of an all-female group before. Like they're super rare, I guess, to have one this big.
How many players?
So we have, let's see, there's 5 of us, and we're possibly looking at adding 6 as another girl, which is kind of exceptionally large to a degree. At least
I know there's definitely a few out there. I had run a stream game called the Scarlet Sisterhood, and that ranged from like 3 to 4 players, and it was all women players. Just because, like, I mean, most of my experience as a GM and a gamer has been all guys, so I was like, I want to try something different, and I just reached out to different women in the community, and we ran that for, I guess, a little over a year, and it was a lot of fun. They were like some of the best players I've ever run for. I didn't even feel like it was necessary for me to be there personally. Because they were just gonna do stuff no matter what.
Oh no. I'm gonna give you a quick definition of our party. We jokingly call ourselves the emo party, but the last time we left a ship, when we saved one of our newer party members to introduce her, we saved her. We lit the ship on fire and exploded.
Oops. Happens.
I mean, well, here's the thing. They're like, nothing's on the ship. We're just gonna light it on fire. They do this on purpose. There's no use for it. Burn it. Like, well, and then my background as in the Blood Hunter, I have a skill called alchemy. So needless to say, there was one point we were writing griffins, I think, in the story, and I dropped a oil X on somebody, or X oil, and created basically Molotovs on giants. So, and one of our people was like, just light it on fire.
If you don't light things on fire or burn down a tavern at least once, are you even playing D&D?
I know, right? That's the story of us, but I think most people would say, oh, we're more talkative and we're diplomatic. Nah, we hit first, ask questions later.
So their big side quest ended up being they wanted to build and run and operate a bathhouse. And it was very important that in thieves' camps they had dirty limericks spread throughout the bathhouse. So like the one player, when they would get back to town from adventure or whatever, and the first thing they would want to do is go to the tavern and get a bath, or they're like, and they were the barbarian, of course, and they're like, I'm just so full of rage, I need a bath.
Oh yeah, that's what happened this last time. Our party split up. One of them went to the dinky tavern to save money. The rest of us went to the expensive taverns. We had money. We took baths, and we were living it up. And when we returned, apparently, according to our storyline, this last time, one of the characters was so drunk she had her charmed glasses on because she was so hungover. So she wasn't, so she had basically disadvantaged everything because she was inebriated. I'm like, that's your own fault. You put yourself in that situation. But that actually does happen in real life sometimes with a bunch of females who get to play together. I mean, it happens. We enjoy each other's company. We have a good time. And my husband is our DM, is just like, he doesn't know what to expect. Stuff happens. But I love that we get to play. We opened up our living room floor, so we sit on the floor and we play. And I have a very large die called the boulder, and I just realized that I made a TikTok about giving my other half a very shiny boulder, and I was like, I could just give him this dice. It's not allowed on the tables because it's cast aluminum and it will break the table. So I have to do it on the floor. My giant deep. So
there's
we have
couple companies that put out some really nice.
Yes, we have a bunch
tables that convert, like I think Carolina Games. Their tables are they're like hutches and dining room tables, and then they convert into gaming tables.
Yes, that's when we move into a big house. That's what I said. That's one of the first things we want to get is a gaming table. We saw Wormwood at PAX, and I looked at the price tag and I was like, you would be paying for that. That's not me.
Yeah,
because I mean they're beautiful, but like, what am I gonna do?
There's some other companies out there too, so you can like shop around and see.
Yeah, we've been shopping. We said we just need the space for it. And one day we're gonna get a huge table, and it shall be our dining room / D&D table. Actually, what we said is we're gonna actually have a game room. We want to get a bigger home, so we have more bedrooms. We have a D&D / streaming / gaming room that is all beautifully set up, and it also gives him a place to put all the figures, get stuff off the floor. Like, that's our aspiration.
He's gonna get married and have kids, but instead I decided to have a gaming room.
I know. My parents are remiss, and I was like, I can barely take care of my cat. Yeah. What makes you think I can take care of another human? I can barely take care of myself. What are you talking about? Yeah. So if you ever, I will one day put out an outtake video of all the times I've whacked myself with my mace or missed, like when I'm having a bad day and I just can't get it together, or I've actually hurt myself. I actually have videos of me whacking myself with a mace. So stay tuned.
This is what you don't do with a mace video.
Oh, I was talking to my dad one time, and it was caught in the camera for our at the facility. We have the Nest camera. Mm-hmm. It caught me when I missed it, and I whacked the bejesus out of myself, and I just kept talking like nothing, but I could see it in my eyes. I hit the side of like the inside of my thigh where my knee is perfectly, and I saw my face on the camera, and I just kept talking to my dad, and I was like, I've also taken off a nail. I put a hole in my pants. I've taken off a nail. It's gone flying with the mace, catching it. It was funny at the time. It kind of hurt, but it was funny. I've hit the garage door opener twice. That is not on video, but I have. Oh, one of them, when I hit the actual frame of the garage door, is on video. And I took a chunk out of our the wood on the wood paneling. When things have gone flying, when I've been lifting in plates, things just don't go happen. Things go awry, so maybe one day I'll put out a blooper reel of me breaking things accidentally.
These things definitely happen. So we're past the hour mark.
Yeah.
Before we head on out.
No, just I want to say just thank you for having me and just sitting down and just chatting for a little bit. I mean, I've never really gotten to do something like this, so it's been fun.
Well, we like to have people on that are doing fun, cool, nerdy things, and also play D&D. Too, so it's super awesome. So people should check you out. There are links down in the description. And until next time, stay nerdy.
Yes. Bye, guys.